What's going on, guys? This is Taylor, and today I'm going to talk about my biggest fear, the thing that I'm most afraid of in life. And I usually talk about stuff like this kind of jokingly, but I'm going to actually tell you, this is what I'm legitimately the most afraid of. And if you guys have like a kind of weird phobia that you realize logically is not reasonable, yet you still can't shake that fear, leave a comment, because, usually when I ask for questions like this, 90% of them are jokes, but be honest, let me know, because I'm legitimately interested. So, this fear that I have, I guess you would classify it as agoraphobia, because I desperately try to avoid situations that I have learned to associate with panic attacks and anxiety and stuff like that. And that situation for me that provides the most anxiety and just I have the most panic attacks is being in the middle of a big body of water. Like, I'm not talking lakes, I'm not talking rivers, I'm talking oceans. Only something as big as an ocean is going to freak me out. And I realized this when I was really young. I was probably 8 or 9 years old, and I was, on this booze cruise kind of thing with my family and some family friends in Florida. And as we were leaving on the booze cruise with my family and everything, I remember just my hands. I can still remember just the cold sweat on my hands and just how I had goosebumps all over my body and my stomach. It felt like someone just had a big, 10-pound ball of lead they just put in my stomach, and just a sinking feeling, and just that stress, and my whole body wanted to cave in on itself, and I wanted to get away as I remember leaving on that booze cruise, getting away from shore. And back then I was young enough that, those fears for me, I could rationalize it and be like, hey, my parents are here. My parents are superheroes, because that's how kids think. They're not going to let anything happen to me. And so I was okay back then. I was young enough to just blindly trust my parents. But fast forward about 10 years to when I was 18, and my girlfriend and I went on our first serious vacation to the Dominican Republic together. And she had never really been to a really nice beach vacation before, and so she was really into trying to experience everything and take advantage of it, whereas I had been on a lot of vacations akin to that, and so I was more in the mood to just sit on the beach and read and relax. But she was really into it, wanted to be active, and I was like, fine, I'm going to be active, make some memories with my girlfriend. And so she talks to me the first day and says, I want to go parasailing. I've never been parasailing. Will you please go with me? And being that, I'm the man and I didn't want to turn her down, I was like, of course I'll go parasailing with you. And I hope that my face looked like I was confident in it, even though in my stomach and my mind, I was like, oh my God, I don't know if I can handle that. I really hope that somehow she really decides against it at the last minute. And so, unfortunately, that wasn't the case. We get out there on a boat, parasailing boat, and the way that they do parasailing is they strap you and another person together, or at least that's the way they do it if you're there with a significant other, and then they raise you into the air and you kind of float around for a few minutes and way high above the beach and above the boat, and they pull you around, and then they take you back down, and they take you back to shore. And it really, it was a lot of fun, honestly. I had a blast parasailing. I would do it again 1,000 times. As I was about to do it, I was freaking out, just, heart palpitations and everything, but I got up there and I realized that I wasn't afraid of being in the air above the ocean, because then all the nasty things that I was afraid of in the ocean and drowning and everything couldn't get me. And I felt way closer to land when I was on the parasail, because I was up in the air, and so I could look down and see a big portion of land, as opposed to the angle you could see, say, from sitting on a boat in the ocean. At the time, I didn't really analyze this. I just kind of took it as, wow, look at me. I'm up here on this parasail. I'm doing my best. I'm not afraid of the ocean anymore. Being a big man for my girlfriend, I guess I conquered that fear. High five for me. Feeling great about myself. So we get back down. I'm on top of the world. I'm elated, feeling great. I'm like, I just conquered my fear. And she says, after we get back on the shore, do you want to go out for an ocean canoe ride, where we would just get some supplies, go out into the ocean, do whatever we wanted to do, then come back? And I said, okay, let's do that. And so I'm still kind of nervous about it, and I'm feeling just, it was a weird mixture. I can still remember the feeling of my stomach feeling twisted with anxiety, but also in my head just consciously feeling like, don't pay attention to that, Taylor. You just showed you can conquer this. You can do it. And so we get our boat and we get it into the surf, and we start rowing it out there. And we only had one paddle, which was mine. And so I was paddling her and myself out there. And she was on the front of the canoe looking out at all the scenery and everything, the beautiful ocean. It was just a gorgeous, gorgeous day. You could see, just the way the sun was shining on the ocean, you could look down and see in the clear water, cool pieces of coral and all this awesome stuff. So interested. I wish that I weren't so afraid, so I could have enjoyed it. And so we get out about 20 feet. I'm feeling good. We get out about 30 feet, start to feel a little bit of a knot in my stomach, but that's okay. I figure that she'll want to get out 100 feet or so, and then she'll be good to go. That's what I thought far away from the beach meant. 100 feet away from the beach, that's pretty far. That seems far to me, even though apparently to most people that seems like child's play. And so we start rowing out there. We get like 100 feet out, and I'm starting to want to slow down. Nope. I keep rowing. I'm waiting for her to tell me when she wants me to slow down, because, I mean, come on. I was an 18-year-old in a relationship, and I wanted to show that I was a big macho man who wasn't afraid of anything. So I just continue to row. As I get further and further out, I can feel this just weight growing in my stomach. I can feel the cold sweats on my hands start. And I get it in my head, and I finally realize as I'm about probably 100 yards out there, I'm like, holy shit, I am not over this fear at all. I'm going to start freaking out once I get out there. But instead of being an intelligent and honest boyfriend and saying I'm going to have a panic attack if we keep going out here, I just decided to keep rowing out there because I didn't want to look like a pussy. And so I kept rowing out there, and we got just obscenely far out there, like literally probably 10 times further than I thought we were going to go. And so it gets to the point where when we were probably like 200 or 300 yards out there, where when I would look back to see how far away we were from shore, when I saw the shore and I tried to turn back around to keep rowing, I almost fell out of the boat. I was so disoriented. My head was spinning. I was dizzy. My mouth was dry. I was just had cold sweats all over the place. I was freaking out, and I was trying my best to, not let her realize this, because she was still enjoying herself very much, just looking down in the ocean, just, playing in the waves, just having a good time. And we get out there far enough, and finally, she says that's far enough. And at this point, I'm like, all right, we're going to sit out here for a couple minutes. I can handle this. Just don't let her realize that you are about to have a panic attack right now. And I am still, I still believe that if that was the end of the story, I could have sat out there, talked for a while, and put up a facade, if you will, and convinced her that I wasn't afraid of it. Now, it wasn't until what happened next that I completely lost my shit. Now, we're crazy far out there. The boats, if you're in the ocean, you realize that the boat just doesn't sit there. It starts to drift around, and even that makes me kind of freak out, that lack of control you have over your means of mobility. And then suddenly she starts reaching over, like her whole arm down into the water. And when there's only two people in a canoe, that really tips the boat over. And so I kind of grabbed both sides real quick. And she looked back at me like I was really nervous. And I quickly let go of the sides, even though my hands were shaking, and kind of grabbed the oar again and tried to play it up like, oh yeah, I'm not nervous. And which there was my second big mistake, which I should have once again been honest and said, I'm freaking out, I need to get out of here. And then I still, this memory is just imprinted in my head. She started shaking the boat, not because she wanted to freak me out or anything, and I can't stress that enough. She didn't know she was scaring me. She just started shaking it because she thought that was a fun kind of thing to do. Like, she thought if she knocked me into the water, we'd have a good laugh about it or something like that, and then she'd get in the water, and then we get back in and go back to shore. And so she starts shaking the boat pretty violently, right? And immediately, I grabbed both sides of the boat, and I just said, stop. Like, I didn't yell at her. Like, I wanted to make extra sure that I didn't yell and scare her. I just said, stop. You got to stop. Please stop shaking the boat. You really have to stop. And she thought that I was joking. And so she kept shaking it, and I just kept grabbing the sides and saying as calmly as I could, please stop rocking the boat, please. And eventually she kept shaking it, and I just yelled, stop the boat. Stop. Please stop moving it. And I immediately grabbed the oar and turned the boat around. And I guarantee if you had put a Harvard rowing team next to me and told us that life or death, we have to get to that shore, and the winner will be, given $1 million, and the loser will be burned at the stake, I would have beaten them to the shore. The front of the boat was lifted up out of the water. She was like grabbing on, like the wind, her hair was blowing back in the wind. I was paddling so fucking hard back to the shore, and the whole time I'm paddling, my hands are shaking, my muscles are twitching. I feel like I just need to get out of that boat, and I am sitting in this tiny little seat. My legs are so restless, I can't even move. I feel like my whole body's just shaking, and I realized then that I was having a full-fledged freaking panic attack like 200 yards out from shore. And I can say without any reservations that was the most terrified I have ever been in my life. And it's embarrassing to say that, because I got back to the shore after like 2 minutes of rowing, and I get out and I pull the boat up, and she's ready to go do the next thing. She thought I was just kind of freaked out, but I just pull the boat up and I just sit there and lay back on the beach just with my eyes closed, just on the land for like 5 minutes, just trying to, summon the strength to get back up. And it was horrible. I was so freaking scared. And the weirdest part is, like, it wasn't like I was in any true danger. Like, if I had fallen out, I just would have gotten back in. But in my head, I couldn't even, just the fear of falling into the ocean and thinking of all the bad things that could happen just scared me to death. But that's the story of my biggest fear. Hopefully some people can relate. If not, probably sound like a weirdo. But I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please do what I always request and leave a rating. And check out the links in the description because there's some pretty good stuff down there. I will talk to you later, and I love you.